Good morning, guys, or good afternoon. I'm going to show you what your work is going to be for today. So you're going to begin by going into Teams and opening up your class. We'll just say that this is 6-1. You might be 6-2 or 6-3. And you'll notice in here, I'm going to start putting every day something that happened in history, which would be kind of fun. Not something that you're required, but something that might be fun to take a look at. You're going to go into assignments, and when you go into assignments, we're going to continue with our guided notes today. So we go to Hamilton Guided Notes, and when you get in here, you're going to see that there are the two documents. The one we want to go to is Guided Notes 1. You're going to click on the three dots. You're going to go to Open in Teams. It's going to open in Teams. We're going to need to make sure we edit it, so we go to Edit in Browser, and wait a second. And our document is going to come up, and this is where we're going to take notes. So we've got and these are going to be notes for a study guide for when we have a quiz. So you can see that I've got my notes that we took yesterday. We've got we can do this in red if we want. Outnumbered, outgunned, outmanned. He needed a right-hand man. Congress wasn't giving him money. Those were the struggles of Washington. We knew that some of his ideas for victory were to not say spies, but get spies and use allies like the French. And then we know that Hamilton was treated poorly. We're going to skip over this song because I'd like to get through it today. So no need to finish that. I'll just delete it if I can. And we'll just move to the next step, which is after the war. So we're going to go over here now, and I'm going to do a short lecture where I'm going to talk through each of these, and then in time, as we go through, you'll be able to get your notes taken, and I'll stop and give you a minute to write your notes in there. Just a couple things about Yorktown. There is a great song in the movie, in the musical about Yorktown where Hamilton works with Rochambeau and Marquis de Lafayette, and you can see that this is Hamilton right here. This is Lafayette, and this is Washington, and you can see that they are going out and fighting in the battle. So we're going to skip that though, and we're going to go right to after the war. So after the war, Hamilton is New York's representative to the meetings to write the Articles of Confederation, but he resigns, frustrated because the Articles, as we remember, were really weak. They didn't have a strong central government, and the states were basically the stronger states were basically putting down the little states, and there were arguments and debates between all of them. So it was really, unsuccessful form of government. And so he returns to New York and practices law. Now, if you'd like right now, you could go in here and you could write in the three things that we need to write. Hamilton becomes New York's representative to what? The Articles of Confederation. Confederation. He what? He resigns. My typing isn't so good. And he returns where? He returns to New York and practices law, which means he becomes a lawyer. So now I've got my three answers for those. And I can go in here and make it all red so that I know those are my notes. So let's learn a little bit about his personal life. So now Hamilton goes off and meets a woman named Eliza Schuyler. She's wealthy. She's actually the daughter of a very wealthy man, and she has lots of connections. So Hamilton's the kind of guy who he's going to make sure that the woman he marries is going to be able to work with him and handle him and introduce him to people. So they marry at their family's mansion in 1780. So a couple years after the Declaration of Independence, in the middle of the Revolutionary War, there's Hamilton getting married. So that's Eliza Schuyler. So you can go to your notes and you can write down those two. I'm not going to do it for you. And I just put a note here. Eliza lived another 50 years after Alexander, and she established the first orphanage in New York City to help children like Hamilton, who was an orphan, to gain a better life. So we're going to now go to our next slide. Okay, so for our next slide, we are going to talk about Alexander Hamilton at the Constitutional Convention. As you remember, this is 1787 in Philadelphia, when 55 delegates from the 13 colonies came together and built the Constitution after the Articles of Confederation failed. If you look closely at this image here, you will see Alexander Hamilton somewhere in there. Take a look and see if you can figure out which one is he. Do you think this is him? Nope, that's George Washington. Do you think this is him? Nope, that's Ben Franklin. How about him? Nope. That, my friends, is James Madison. Here's Alexander Hamilton right here. And what's he doing? He's whispering in Ben Franklin's ear. And what the artist is saying to us is that Alexander Hamilton is the guy who really is the mastermind behind the Constitutional Convention. So we're going to write that down for our first question, but let's go to the next and learn about how Hamilton proceeded at the Constitutional Convention. He supported a strong central government. Part of his plan was a president for life with the ability to impeach him for corruption or abuse. So that's a really strong central government and a strong executive. He was a believer that that you needed to have a strong person who's well educated to run a country. He also believed in a two-house legislature, though, and a Supreme Court. So he believed in the three branches of government. But this idea of a president for life was way too similar to England's in a lot of people's minds, and Hamilton was not. His ideas were not really accepted. But nonetheless, even though his ideas weren't accepted, after the Constitution was completed, it needed to get ratified by the states, and he was a champion in something known as the Federalist Papers. We've talked about this. He was a big proponent of getting the Constitution ratified, and so he wrote with John Jay and James Madison. He convinced them to join him in writing essays defending the Constitution, and he wrote 51 of the 85 essays anonymously. These were all published in pamphlets and newspapers, and they didn't even put their names on it. They put the name Publius. That was a pseudonym, which means that they came up with a fake name so that people didn't know who they were. So Hamilton was a big writer of the Federalist Papers to get the Constitution approved. So go in now, take a minute, go in here, and in a second press pause and answer these three questions. How did the artist portray Hamilton? Did he support a strong what? And he presented a plan deemed what? Please press pause and fill those in. Okay, come back now, and we talked about the Federalist Papers as well. Make sure you put those in. And now we are going to spend a little time listening to a really great song that describes Hamilton. And this song is called Nonstop. And what I want you to think about is, you can get up from your chair and stretch out and dance if you want, or tap your foot. What are some of Hamilton's personal characteristics? So think about, what is he like? And how do these personal characteristics both help him and hurt him? So we're going to listen to this song called Nonstop, which is a song from the musical Hamilton, and listen to the words, enjoy the music, get up and stretch so you're not sitting at a computer all day, and when we're done, we'll answer some of these questions. Okay, here goes. Nonstop.
After the war, I went back to New York.
After the war, I went back to New York.
I finished up my studies and I practiced law.
I practiced law, Burr worked next door.
Even though we started at the very same time, Alexander Hamilton began to climb. How to account for his rise to the top? Man, the man is non-stop.
Gentlemen of the jury, I'm curious, bear with me. Are you aware that we're making history? This is the first murder trial of our brand new nation, the liberty behind the liberation. I intend to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt with my assistant counsel.
Co-counsel Hamilton, sit down. A client Levy Weeks is innocent. Call your first witness. That's all you had to say.
Okay, one more thing.
Why do you assume you're the smartest in the room? Why do you assume you're the smartest in the room? Why do you assume you're the smartest in the room? So that attitude may be your doom. Why do you write like you're running out of time? Write day and night like you're running out of time. Every day you fight like you're running out of time. Keep on on fighting in the meantime.
Corruption's such an old song that we can sing along in harmony. And nowhere is it stronger than in Albany. These colonies, economies increasingly stalling. And honestly, that's why public service seems to be calling it. I practiced the law, practically perfected it. I've seen injustice in the world and I've corrected it. Now for a strong central democracy. If not, then I'll be Socrates throwing verbal rocks at these mediocrities.
Hamilton at the Constitutional Convention.
I was chosen for the Constitutional Convention.
There is a New York junior delegate.
Now what I'm gonna say may sound indelicate.
He goes and proposes his own form of government. His own plan for a new form of government. Talks for 6 hours. The convention is listless.
Right, young man. Yo, who the F is this?
Why do you always say what you believe? Why do you always say what you believe? Every proclamation guarantees free ammunition for your enemies. Why do you ride like it's going out of style? Ride day and night like it's going out of style. Every day you fight like it's going out of style. Do what you do. Alexander?
Aaron Burr, sir.
Well, it's the middle of the night.
Can we confer, sir?
Is this a legal matter?
Yes, and it's important to me.
What do you need?
Burr, you're a better lawyer than me.
Okay.
I know I talk too much. I'm abrasive. You're incredible in court. You're succinct, persuasive. My client needs a strong defense. You're the solution.
Who's your client?
The new U.S. Constitution?
No.
Hear me out.
No way.
A series of essays anonymously published defending the document to the public.
No one will read it.
I disagree.
And if it fails,
Burr, that's why we need it.
the Constitution's a mess.
So it needs amendments.
It's full of contradictions.
So is independence. We have to start somewhere.
No way.
You're making a mistake.
Good night.
Hey, what are you waiting for? What do you stall for?
What?
We won the war. What was it all for? Do you support this Constitution?
Of course.
Then defend it.
And what if you're backing the wrong horse?
Burr, we studied and we fought and we killed for the notion of a nation we now get to build. For once in your life, take a stand with pride. I don't understand how you stand to the side.
I'll keep all my hands close to my chest. I'll wait here and see which way the wind will blow. I'm taking my time watching the afterbirth of a nation, watching the tension grow.
I am sailing off to London. I am accompanied by someone who always pays. I have found a wealthy husband who will keep me in comfort for all my days. He is not a lot of fun, but there's no one who can match you for turn of phrase. My Alexander, don't forget to ride. Look at where you are. Look at where you started. The fact that you're alive is a miracle. To stay alive, that would be enough. And if your wife could share a fraction of your time, if I could grant you peace of mind, would that be enough?
Alexander joins forces with James Madison and John Jay to write a series of essays defending the new United States Constitution entitled the Federalist Papers. The plan was to write a total of 25 essays, the work divided evenly among the three men. In the end, they wrote 85 essays in the span of 6 months. John Jay got sick after writing 5. James Madison wrote 29. Hamilton wrote the other 51. How do you write like you're running out of time? Write day and night like you're running out of time. Every day you fight like you're running out of time. Like you're running out of time. Are you running out of time? How do you write like tomorrow won't arrive? How do you write like you need it to survive? How do you write every second you're alive? Every second you're alive. Every second you're alive.
They're asking me to leave. I'm doing the best I can to get the people that I need. I'm asking you to be my right hand, Treasury man. Or state. I know it's a lot to ask. Treasury or state. To leave behind the world, you know. Sir, do you want me to run the Treasury or State Department? Treasury. Let's go.
Alexander,
I have to leave.
Alexander.
Look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now.
Helpless.
They are asking me to leave.
Look around. Isn't this enough? We will never be satisfied. We will never be satisfied.
So that's the end of the song, as much as we're going to watch it. And what I'd like you to do is to now go back into Teams and to answer the questions for the song non-stop. You have 3 questions. Good luck.